DMT is a remarkable substance because I think it does kind of like what Monroe does. There's no sense of time, and it pierces the veil into this world, into this dimension, in this realm, whatever you want to call it. And so,
but it does so unwillingly.
I would say more that it's not what you want, but what you need. Because I have this boundless feeling of love and gratitude for this. So I'm like, cool. Wow. Okay. You got my attention. So I read Alien Information Theory, fantastic book. I read The Spirit Molecule by Rick Strassman, and I'm ready. So 2 weeks later, my friend Curtis comes over and I have the archetypal breakthrough on Changa, one form of DMT. And I feel transported to the other end of the universe. And yet I felt I was home. I saw not really incarnate, but these denizens of the universe the fabric of the universe they're creating more universe. And I'm watching this. And I said, excuse me, because they're pretty busy. Are you what we perceive to be aliens and UFOs? Because that was my mission. I'm taking one for science here, Chris.
Yeah.
And the answer was like trillions of miles of neurons and synapses firing, and it comes bubbling down. We can't explain in a way that you would understand.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't condescending or deflective. It was like an ant asking how a Chevrolet transmission works. You're just not going to be able to understand. And I thought, well, that's not no. And if there is this connection between these entities that I think I'm seeing in DMT and aliens, yeah, I could see how that's beyond my ability to comprehend. I'm like, bam, already I've got something. I don't really have the complete elixir to take back to the village, but I think I know where I may be able to find the elixir for that Joseph Campbell voyage. And I come out of it. And a friend of mine had done it also. Now, I'd read Spirit Molecule and Alien Information Theory, so you could say I've been tainted or primed by sort of quintessential voyages. But my friend did the same time, and we asked him, and he'd never heard of DMT before that day. And we asked him what he saw. He saw the same thing I did. But from the outside point of view, where I just leapt head first right into it.
Right.
So I thought that's interesting. Now, again, it could just be, it's the same chemical, has a very peculiarly specific implementation.
Sure.
But that was interesting. So then my friend said, you want to do it again? Hell yeah, I did it again that night. And this time it lasted 45 minutes. Not the typical businessman's high.
No.
I wasn't transported out, but I felt similar to ayahuasca, this wave upon wave of healing. And I was listening to a song called Devi Prayer, which I've only heard during DMT, and I cannot hear unless I'm doing DMT, and which hits hard. It's 21 minutes, and it is the
So what would happen if we played it right now?
I'll run out. Literally, I will run. I can't hear it.
You will run out.
I'll freak out. I will run out.
Run out where?
Outside, where I can't hear it.
Really?
Yes, I will.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I can't.
So just hoping this 21-minute song doesn't come on the radio randomly while you're driving.
And luckily, it's not the kind that comes on the radio often. A friend of mine played with me at Conscious Live Expo. I had to run out of the room.
No way.
Yeah. So, and I'm listening to this music, was hauntingly beautiful. And I'm living between the beats of the music, between grief and gratitude, and just feeling this loving spirit cleansing me of emotional sludge and trauma. 2 weeks later, I do it again. And I told my friend Curtis that, hey, it feels like it gave me what I needed. And he said, no, what you wanted. That's what the guides told me. Like, oh man, and I'm crying because it's so, I've touched the divine. And I saw the universe doing its business. It stopped and it welcomed me. 2 weeks later, I do it again. Welcome back, Paul. Let's resume where we left off last time. And it started healing me again.
Right where you left off.
The universe remembered me by name and had notes from our last appointment.
How kind.
So it's this love. And, to me, I've had people say all sorts of things at UFO conferences. Like, hey, Paul, man, we're talking about real shit like UFOs. Why you got to get weird and talk about DMT and Bitcoin?
Yeah.
I've had people say, hey, I can get the same place with meditation. I don't know where you go with meditation. You don't know where I go with DMT. And it's not just DMT giving me access. DMT is bringing a little something to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I became fascinated with it as a really a bona fide interest of mine to not only experience that love, but now I facilitate as a techno shaman. I facilitate for people. I've had wonderful experiences that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's endlessly fascinating. It feels more real than here, not to devalue what we experience here.
There's a surreal nature to it.
Yeah, and now I start to get the DMT stutter where you're trying to describe.
Yeah, and I
life.
understand that. I mean, I've had my bouts with hallucinogenic sort of molecules, if you will, or concoctions in my youth, and yeah, there is something of a surreal nature, almost not unlike describing a dream, where things just tend to make sense while you're in it, and as soon as you're out of it, making sense of it here just doesn't hold up. And again, you're trying to convey this idea of the impossible in a tangible way, like the Flatlands Bob sort of analogy, where the two-dimensional shape tries to explain what 3D is to the other 2D people, and they're just like, what is up, what is down? You know?
That's a good analogy, and it's kind of like, to put it in your puzzling terms, a secret key to an invisible lock that's available to all of us. And it feels to me, and I think the same thing with AI and Bitcoin, they feel like Easter eggs that have been left here. So, you've had our mutual friend Danny Sheehan and others on here talking about disclosure. So, Danny and Steve Bassett, Richard Dolan, many others are fighting a good fight in the trenches for disclosure. Okay, so what can I do? Well, I'm working more on what I call exposure. So disclosure is what they do. Exposure is what we do. And maybe disclosure or contact, it may come through an embassy, it may come through the saucer landing on the lawn of the White House, but it may come from 3 deep breaths and a molecule that's already in your body. Mm-hmm. There's the ayahuasca puzzle. It's, imagine walking along thousands of years ago and looking at an artichoke and saying, oh, that looks like food. I mean, somebody had to tinker with those things. Ayahuasca is 2 very unrelated plants mixed together in a very specific way. So sure, we've had generations and generations of tinkering and trial and error, but still it's a little hard to understand how they came up with that exact combination. Mm-hmm. DMT is also the only psychedelic that's endogenous. It's in your body. There's no known metabolic necessity. So it's kind of a rare biological extravagance to have this thing in here.
And we don't exactly know where it's from either, like where it gets. We have speculative, ideas about the pineal gland or whatever it may be, but we're not sure about any of that.
We know it's in the body, but we don't really know where or how.
And it's what, also why.
And it's also in hundreds of plants. Why is this psychedelic coursing throughout the natural kingdom? So to me, what I'm playing with, and I don't have any answers, I have slightly better questions than I did before. Can I, so Andrew Gallimore, who wrote Alien Information Theory, the Contact in the Desert 2 years ago, I pitched, hey, why don't he and I do a joint presentation, UFOs and DMT together at last? And we did. We've become very good friends now. So we're working on several investigations, and I love his approach that perhaps so I have this feeling now, and we've talked a little bit of my ideas about an informational, conscious universe, a little bit of panpsychism, a little bit more pan-computationalism, that there is sort of a primordial, pre-organic life readiness potential substrate out there, and that if we do have a future that's post-biological, which for good and or bad, I think is likely, it may not be if we navigate it the right way. And frankly, I'm more concerned about the present of human stupidity than the future of artificial intelligence. We may not make it till the computers take over, but I'm more of the Ray Kurzweil school that it's not going to be Skynet waking up with a digital chip on its shoulder coming after us. See, it's Skynet right there. It's more of us adopting more and more machine capabilities. So we may have a post-biological future. I think alien civilizations, well, to me, it's improbable that extraterrestrials on another planet endure the rigors of interstellar space travel, come here and crash. Now, people have theories for why that happens, but it just doesn't seem plausible to me that they would exhibit flight characteristics that look to be like 100 years past us. or 200 years. By all odds, they would be millions of years, maybe billions of years more advanced than us. And so I think aliens have had their own type of singularity when humans and AI merge, and they are, for all intents and purposes, digital. And to me, it feels like DMT entities are billions of years more advanced than us. They're here, they're everywhere. So it's not so much about seeing something in the sky and talking with them. It's not so much about us waiting for them. It's them waiting for us.
Mhm.
They've given us the key. And once we start to unlock it and use it responsibly, we may well have opened these channels of communication that others do, like with Monroe and other ways to do that.
Sure, yeah.
And so that's what's fascinating to me, because this is an area that I can work in to try to build upon the legacy my father left of this solid foundation of scientific legitimacy and classification for this very strange phenomena. And while others fight the good fight on the government front, okay, Galmore and I and others will go around on here and see what we can find there. And maybe that's the end around to the source, decentralized without any middlemen and without relying on anybody to dole out information over time.
Right. How would you reconcile if you had come face to face with a crash saucer and physical beings on the inside? How would you reconcile those two notions? Would one negate the other, or would you just be like, well, it's still
all for it? If you know where one is, take me there.
Yeah.
One of my passions is to help experiencers of all kinds, UFOs, DMT, ghosts, what have you, should they desire to demonstrate, not prove, but demonstrate the objective reality of their encounter.